everybody. Welcome to Revival Town Podcast. I'm Chuck Tate. That's Andy King.
Chuck Tate, are you doing all right?
I am great because we are in a new studio.
Do you like it?
I love it, man.
Yeah. For
Andy King for president. Seriously, come on. You got my vote.
Well, we were in a part of the Dream Center, which is the recording studio of the Dream Center for our after-school kids. But a lot of activity happens down there, and we could be recording, we could be on the doing a Zoom call with someone, and all of a sudden students walk in, and that's what it's there for, right? So we had an office space empty, and so I said to Chuck, why don't we put it in there?
Yeah.
And it's okay, right?
Yeah, you did great. I mean, I know you put a lot of work into this, and I popped in and you were kind of showing me where things would go, and I think it looks even better than I anticipated. You've been sending me videos and pictures along the way, like, hey, what do you think about this? And it's just great, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. I wanted it to fit. We just got to sort out the heat in here. It's a little chilly.
Yeah, man, I can't feel my legs at the moment. But besides that, hey, you even got the American and British flags going.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if people can see that at the back.
Look at that.
There it is.
The TV going, lights.
We've got your coffee station, my tea station. With the Dream Center coffee in the middle, which people keep asking, can you buy that coffee? Yes. Go to dreamcenterpeoria.org.
Yeah, we serve at the Rock Church.
Yeah, and students as well as staff and volunteers help. We have a roaster on site, an actual roaster, and so if you want some,
even a couple books up there,
hey, check out the books from Mr. Tate.
Well, hey, I am going to nominate you for the next president of the United States, and we're going to make America British again. It's not MAGA, it's MABA. Make America British again.
MABA.
MABA. MABA.
We should get some hats.
We're bringing tea back to Boston. Let's go.
Oh, that's funny. Chuck, I tell you make me laugh all the time. Hey, we did do something different today in between the conversations, the interviews we had today. We did not do Chinese food.
We didn't do Chinese today.
Why?
Because we're making America British again. So
no,
we went from fish and chips. No, we did. Yeah, we went to Raising Cane's.
Raising Cane's has come to Peoria, and boy, it's good.
It plays Peoria.
Oh, I tell you what, we did eat a little because we knew we had a long afternoon.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm tired, but this is an incredible conversation, and it's going to be part 1 of 2 because we're putting this into 2 parts, and it is excellent.
Absolutely. And so the individual that we are interviewing is Amy Duggar King.
She's one of my new favorite people.
Yeah.
I mean, if her story is so good.
If you remember, many years ago, there was a show, 19 Kids and Counting, and it followed the Duggar family. And there was a gal that appeared, and we talk about it, so we're not putting her down.
The cousin.
Crazy Amy.
Crazy Amy.
And she has recently written a book really exposing everything that was going on within not just the family, but the church movement that they were a part of.
Yeah.
And
it's called Holy Disruptor.
Yeah, Holy Disruptor is the book. And it was so good to be able to sit down and chat with Amy. And you enjoy it, Chuck?
I did. One of my favorite interviews, and because she is so real. And, I said, her story is so good. The book's really good. But, I mean, it's her life story, and it's riveting. It's gut-wrenching at times. I share on the podcast. I broke down and it with tears in my eyes while I was listening to her narrate the book. And it's an excellent book to listen to. I like to read it. I love audibles are kind of my jam, but she did an excellent job narrating it. We didn't really talk about that on the podcast, but she She talks about a lot of things, and this is we're off to a good start in 2026.
So why don't you sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and enjoy this conversation with Amy.
All right, everybody, it's time for another conversation on Revival Town Podcast. Our guest today, Amy Duggar King, grew up appearing on TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, but today she's using her authentic, God-given voice to encourage others who want to be free of dysfunctional families, toxic situations, or cycles of abuse. She appeared in season 1 of the documentary Shiny Happy People, and she has a brand new book called Holy Disruptor. She lives in Northwest Arkansas with her husband, Dylan, and her son, Daxton. We're so excited to have her. Amy, welcome to Revival Town.
I'm so excited to be here. I think this is going to be such a fun conversation.
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, I shared with you earlier. I got some big brownie points in my house just to get you on this show because we have followed you in our house from the show from way back. And I'll be honest with you. So we homeschooled, and our kids were not the typical homeschooling kids that most people think of, like, you know, that you've been around.
Yes.
And so my kids and my wife loved you because you weren't like that. You were just like
I definitely was not. No, I was. Yeah, definitely. There's a little different thing about me going on. Well, tell your family I said hi, and I wish I could hug them all and meet them all in person.
Yeah, well, we're thankful you have been able to come on today. We're going to dive a bit into your story. I know your book that's come out has got a lot of press, a lot of people talking because it's real, it's raw, it's honest.
It's so good.
And it's
I cried. I want you to know that.
Oh, my goodness.
I listened to the Audible, and
Yeah.
it was so good. It really is. It's one of those books where you want to listen to it again. So great job narrating it, and obviously the story is just heart penetrating.
That was the hardest project I've ever done in my entire life. And y'all, I had on, like, just to give you an idea of what that audio and studio felt like when I was reading that. That was the first time for me to ever really speak out loud my truth and the things that's happened. And I was in a white t-shirt. And because it was hot, you know, whatever. And it was soaking wet by the end of it because I was shaking and there was so much emotion that was going in to the book. And so I'm so glad that it transpired into what it did and that people are connecting with it. All kinds of people are connecting with it through every walk of life. So it's really God's in this story. And I think he's using it.
Amen.
You know?
He is.
Amen.
For sure.
Well, we're really pumped to have our audience hear it.
Yeah, we last night watched Shiny Happy People, which you were on, which was really like just, you know, pulling something back with regards to what was going on, and that was just incredible to see. Not just your story, but so many other people's stories.
Yes. Yeah, I was adjacent to the cult and to the IBLP practices. And so I didn't necessarily live that way, you know, but it was definitely affecting me because I just felt like what was so wrong with me? You know, why was I, you know, targeted as this black sheep and this bad person and this bad example and this heart issue and like all these things. And so, yeah, I loved being a part of the Amazon documentary, but I also loved that they didn't give me a ton of time. I didn't need a ton of time.
Right.
You know, that was when all the victims really had a moment to share their actual truth and the things that they've gone through. And I love that the spotlight was on them. You know, it was really amazing to be a part of, though.
So when that came out, had you already written the book? Were you in the process? Where were you?
I was in the process. I could not say it yet, obviously, because I was under contract. But yes, I was deep in writing the book. I did not have a ghostwriter at all. And so I spent 8, maybe 9 months, something like that, on working on it day and night. And I did it when my little guy, I have a son who's 6 years old, and I did it when he was asleep. So during the night is when I would write most of the bulk of what people are reading.
Wow. Wow. So
Yeah.
we're going to dive into the book.
Let's dive.
But
Get your scuba gear ready, people. Let's
Let's
go.
go.
but can you just, before we really get into it, and I know the book is about your story, but just tell people who you are, where you're at, obviously now, but then let's go into what you wrote about as well. But who is Amy?
Who is Amy? Well, I would say that she is not one that is well, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm an honest person, and I was on the reality show for 14 seasons, which is hard to believe. That's crazy. On TLC, and through all of that, I've been through legalism. I've seen it all. I've been unfairly labeled. There's been a lot of things that's happened and shaped me, and things that I worked through even without the camera rolling. And I just, when you get to a place of healing and you get to a place where you feel whole and God has restored you, you want to share it with the world because it gives people hope.
Yes.
And so,
And you weren't even compensated. I mean, I was just blown
no,
away as
yeah.
as
that
I
was
went through your
crazy.
book. Like I was just angry at times, like yelling, like what? Oh yeah.
Yeah. I take the readers really on a journey, of like, here we go, just follow the road, like it's a roller coaster, buckle up. But yeah, I didn't get paid, which is a small portion of everything else that's gone on. But it's in that moment where I didn't feel like I was worthy. I didn't feel worthy of, I never realized that time equals money back then. And, reality shows were like Kardashians. They were like
Yeah.
the big stars. And so here we are. I mean, yes, a big show, but I didn't know how to go through that and the different avenues that needed to be taken in order to even get a single dollar.
Because how old were
And
you at the
so,
beginning of the show?
so I was 19. I
Okay.
was I was I was like 18, 19, like right on that cusp. And so
Okay.
I was just naive, young, loving my family. I thought I was doing them a favor. And I didn't realize that I was probably 99.9% taken advantage of.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
using you. And I mean, even the story when a producer or somebody on set handed you $900, I think it kind of opened your eyes like, wait a minute, how much money is everybody making here, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I had no idea. We didn't talk about money. It was one of those things where the, head honcho was like you don't worry about that. This is ministry driven. There is no money involved. Your voice doesn't, your voice is just a part of like a big group. So you don't need a whole lot. You don't need a whole lot. And so I just believed it. I internalized that in like, okay, I must be not worth much if I'm not even seeing like a cent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
just you. Like some of the kids in the Duggar family
Was
weren't seeing it either.
all of the kids weren't seeing a dime.
Now, has any of that
Just
changed
mind-blowing.
since? Like, has any attorneys got involved and said, "Hey, we're going to get some of this money back," or it's still not there?
Jill, who I'm very close with, she fought back, got some finally, which she rightfully deserved.
Yeah.
And I settled for pennies on the dollar when it came down to it all. I think this is just my own opinion, but I think some of the kids are given whatever it is, but I think you have to follow the guidelines of the IVLP in
Yeah.
order to receive it.
Yeah.
And so I think there's just a lot of control there. There's no proof of that, but I just think there's, that's just my opinion. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I do
Right.
think that the control is just very it's very unfortunate, but it keeps them in track,
Yeah.
keeps them
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
line.
Well, I think what exposed him, Jim Bob, is not just that, but I found myself so upset when you were sharing when your grandmother passed away, and obviously your mom and him are brother and sister, and he even kind of pushed her out of what your mom left behind. I mean, right? I mean what your grandmother left behind, and I'm like, he's already rich from this TV show, and here your mom at times is a single mom raising you, and you guys are struggling, and then he is still manipulating and maneuvering to come out on top with more. I'm just like, it's so greedy to me, and like, what's just, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is horrible.
If you go back to the Bible, let's preach, you guys.
Yeah.
Money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you really have to keep that in check. I really do, because I mean, the enemy uses that all the time, daily, in everything. And so he definitely used it in our family.
Yeah. So let's go way back. Just for those who may be listening or watching that may not be in America and did not even see the show or anything like that. Were you a part of this church way before?
No.
Or was it just them and you were like the crazy cousin, as they said, right, on the show?
Yes. Okay. So my family, ultra conservative, they had their own home church kind of based. All the homeschool families joined in. I mean, you couldn't show your knees, you couldn't show your shoulders, you couldn't listen to any music with a beat at all. Any kind of off beat was considered sinful. You're going straight to hell. There is no saving you. Like you're done for. And so here I am, born out of wedlock, an only child, which by the way is also not necessarily was frowned upon, because my mom's womb wasn't fruitful, if you will. And so, you're supposed to have as many kids as possible in this environment and in this in the teachings.
Yeah.
And so here I am, an only child, born out of wedlock, wearing jeans, listening to music, and I was like a hellion to them. Yes. Meanwhile, I was a youth leader at a church for I had all kinds of stuff. So I still loved Jesus, but I was considered like worldly.
Right.
Yes.
It resonated with me because I went to a pretty legalistic Christian school for 2 years to play basketball, and I had friends there, and I agreed to all the rules, and there were lots of them. But here I went to an Assembly of God church, and I was considered kind of the weirdo, and I listened to music and like Christian rock and roll, even though it was Christian. It wasn't to them. A friend of mine, there was a girl in our class went to a Monkees concert, which is fun, clean music. They didn't care.
Sure.
I had another friend who went to Striper, and he got in-house suspension for 2 weeks because the devil was distorting the music. And it was the final 2 weeks of his senior year. It's just crazy stuff. That my experiences were instrumental in me planting the church that I did over 27 years ago to reach people that did not feel comfortable in a traditional setting, because the church can, as you know, it can chew people and spit them out. And a friend of mine who went and visited this church, I was trying to get him to come to church with me, and he wouldn't. And finally, I'm like, what's going on? What are you afraid of? He goes, well, I did one time. I went, and he has really long hair, really long beard. He could be like in a ZZ Top video.
That's awesome.
So he said he went and visited this church, and he was scared. And but he did. He stepped out and went, and then an elder walked up to him and said, "Hey, man, we're glad you're here, but please don't come back unless you cut your hair and shave."
Oh, wow.
And
and
that was that culture. That culture is like all about outward appearance, nothing about the heart.
Yeah.
It was just so crazy. So your story just resonates with me, and it's just an honor to have you here to share it.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you. Yeah, you can't put people in a box, I feel like if it doesn't fit the mold that you're trying to do, then the outsiders are scary and all that. But that's who Jesus reaches. That's who
Yeah.
he went for,
Yeah.
And
And
so
and it's crazy, like with all that you've just said about how you were and how the family was. Do you feel, I don't know, do you feel they asked you to come onto the show for a bit of that controversy, how you would be with them, to paint this picture of you? When obviously when it's happening, you're like, oh, I'm going to be on the show. But looking back now, how do you feel about that role that you were portrayed as?
that's a very good question. I honestly feel like I was villainized. I feel like everybody needs a bad villain in a story, right? They need
Yeah.
they need that little contrast, and I gave it to them without even realizing that's who I was on the show.
Yeah.
At first it was just me hanging out with my cousins and really like wanting to have quality time with them. And the show allowed us to travel all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, we get all kinds of stuff all the time. And I had those experiences that I wouldn't have never gotten if it wasn't for the show.
Yeah.
But I never realized that I was being painted as like literally the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That obviously with that, and you going around the world and everything at the time, you're thinking, this is great, this is great. And
Right.
now you spring forward and looking at that, how does that now make you feel?
I honestly haven't even watched any of the TV clips or any kind of episodes because I honestly feel like I was living one big lie that I didn't even know was happening. It feels like a huge facade to me.
Yeah.
And it's just mind blowing of what was really happening behind the scenes that I had no idea was. And when I did have some questions, or when I did shift a little and kind of rethink some things of the things that I've seen and things that I've heard, I was quickly told that I had the heart issue, that I was jealous, that that I just wouldn't understand their way of living because I wasn't godly enough, that I would never reach that level of Christianity, that I was a bad Christian. I've heard that so many times, that I was a bad Christian and that I just needed a heart transplant in order to understand their way of living. And
So
it's like, like you're like, okay, like after a while of hearing that over and over and over, you start to believe it,
yeah, yeah.
Right.
you
And
know?
and you're around it so. When we step back, I just thought about this. We've talked a bit about this, the church and this movement. Can you just paint that picture for people? Like, this isn't like your traditional Assemblies of God church or a Baptist church. This actually isn't even a church. This is one guy who set up this, what many say is a cult. And can you just explain what that was? Because I think then it will paint the picture to people like, oh, this isn't just they're going to church on Sunday and they're real fundamentalists. This is something completely different.
Yeah, there was a man called Bill Gothard back, I think in like the early 70s, 80s. He decided that he really had the way to live, and he had the answers, the keys to a successful, beautiful life without any harm, without anything happening. And he shaped this environment and invited homeschool people, all the different families, to come and listen to him. And he believed that he was a prophet from the Lord. What he did is he took scripture and twisted it to where it would fit his narrative. And what's really, really, really sad and scary about this entire ecosystem is the fact that it gives men all the power. No one has to answer to anyone. There's no accountability. And he taught in his sermons and in his preachings that a man could make up the rules in the household, whatever they would be. Whatever they are, he's the leader. No one can talk down to him. No one can change them, and that's the way they are. So if you get people that really do have, really harmful ideologies in their head already, what is that going to equal? Well, we all know it's going to equal abuse. It's going to equal shame. It's going to equal all kinds of hurt and brokenness. And that's what has continued, you guys, for years, for decades. And it wasn't just like, in the US, it was all over the entire world that this man came up with this crazy idea, and it spread like a wildfire. So we are one family that has gone through so much, but there are thousands of families that have experienced the same abuse or worse.
When I first came to America,
Wild.
I had an encounter with this teaching. I wasn't part of it. I wasn't nothing like that. But there was folks that were in my dad's church. He came over here to be a pastor. He was invited to be a pastor over here, and there was families in the church that went through this. And we even know families that were doing the homeschool stuff as well. And it was so bizarre, especially when it comes to discipline. On the show when we were watching last night, Shiny Happy People, it was talking about the blanket time and the glue sticks. I remember that, where the kids were being hit with glue sticks, rods, things like that. Just watching it last night, I was like, it was painted in such a way that this was a godly thing.
Yeah.
But when you delved into it, it was far from it.
Even when they even named the paddle. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know of a paddle that was named the encouragement stick. Would you like some encouragement? Like, that could be a movie.
I remember where I was when I was listening. Yes. Oh my gosh. I was doing dishes while I was listening. I remember exactly standing in my kitchen learning about this, like some encouragement. I was like ready to throw a plate. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's so sad what these parents are brainwashed, and then how they brainwash their kids, and then how there's generations, because you're taught to have as many kids as possible as soon as possible when you're married. So then you have all these little ones, and you teach them all the same thing, and it's a breeding ground for abuse in all kinds of directions.
Right, and there was even a moment where there was one of your younger cousins was upset, distraught. You definitely assumed there was some type of abuse that took place because she was pretty broken and came to you. But then later, when you went to her again, she acted like she didn't know what you were talking about. Everything was just perfect. And it just communicated how much abuse was really going on.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing, is that they were all so sweet and so innocent and beautiful girls, beautiful kids. And yet they gaslighted without even realizing that they were doing it, right? They couldn't go into actually what was happening. And so they had to act perfect, because that's another thing in the IBLP, is that if you don't act perfect and smile, then you're not being godly. So they were taught that abuse should never be talked about. The word abuse actually isn't even taught in the IBLP. So you can just be like, something's happening to me, and they'll be like, oh, that happened to me. But they don't know the definition of it. They don't know the actual title of where that falls in line of all the things. So it's wild. And it's someone had to talk. Someone had to write a book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're glad you did.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, you grew up in the spotlight, and there are people out there who probably before they read your book felt like they already knew you. Was there something that triggered you to say, okay, I've got to write this. I've got to tell my story? Oh yeah. Oh, so good.
Enjoy that?
I really, really did. I love when we have a guest on, and I've read the book, I've listened to the book. It becomes a part of you. It resonates, and then to have her come in and just share story. Yeah, just loved it. I loved her authenticity, and she's fun.
Oh, yeah.
She's a good time. So
Yeah, and obviously we are not done. We've got another
next week, part two
next week. So again, thank you for listening and watching to Revival Town podcast, and step on back next week so you can hear or watch part 2 with Amy Duggar King.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.